what makes Base 11 unique? There's a lot of organizations out there who are trying to diversify STEM and solve problems, but in your view, because you've seen a lot, what makes Base 11 unique? What makes what we're doing together unique that would cause potential partners to say, listen, that's where I want to invest my resources?
Right. So I think Base 11 is doing many things right. And one of the things which is very impressive is that you are able to go and partner with these community colleges and also the appropriate community colleges, where the focus is in science and technology. And so where you are able to identify the right cohort of people. Because, one of the things we can't do is we cannot take a philosophy major and make them into an engineer. Okay, so you have to identify people who are interested in math and science. And so Base 11 has developed a methodology where they are very good at identifying people. Base 11 is able to zoom into the right cohort of students through many mechanisms. One is be able to have the right questionnaire. I like the way you go about selecting the applicants. And also to be able to develop relationship with these community colleges, because one of the things which we need to have, and this is very important, is to have a working relationship with not only the administration in the community colleges, but also the faculty. Because the faculty in the community colleges are the most committed faculty anywhere in the planet. Because these people are working in the community colleges because they believe in the cause. That is to uplift the people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. Because most of the students who go to community colleges are coming from this low resource population. And when they come from this population, the community college faculty, they are conscious of their duties and their obligations. So this is what we met some of the great faculty during our presentations. So the Base 11 has been able to partner with them and identifying these students. I think that's the key. The second thing is that not many organizations are focused on community colleges. Our great focus, vast amount of resources are going through motivating students from K through 12. That's a good thing. I mean, that's a very important thing, and especially reaching out to women and underrepresented minorities to go into STEM fields. That's a great thing. But we are forgetting the community colleges. But as I mentioned earlier, that the community colleges are where the students are going there because they are already motivated, they are highly motivated to uplift themselves through higher education. That is the first step in higher education. But nobody is focusing on these students. The students, if they are lucky and if they have the right guidance and if they have the right resources, they may be able to transfer to a 4-year college and continue with that. But a lot of times that may not happen. So Base 11 is able to provide a bridge there to identify these students, very bright students, to bring them to a place like Caltech and expose them to an environment which they never even imagine exists. So I think the partnership between Base 11 and us at Caltech is that you are bringing students from what you would call the missing link. Because this is between the K through 12 and the 4-year colleges, there is something missing. So, once they get through the 4-year colleges, hopefully they're well on their way to, living the American dream. But the students who go through the community colleges, especially very vulnerable parts of our population, like the returning veterans, for example. So, they may or may not make it. Ultimately to the 4-year colleges. So through programs like between the Base 11 and Caltech, so we are able to bring these students to a place, to an environment where you open up their eyes. Even if a small fraction of them go on to become scientists and engineers, I think there'll be, that will be a big breakthrough. So that is, you are able to take a segment of population which will not have access to such resources. And the other thing which you are doing is that you are bringing students here which our students will never see. This interaction, I think, is very important for our students to interact with all types of people from all types of backgrounds. And so this is a way for us also to be able to have a very diverse viewpoint and also interaction with a diverse community. And I think this provides a wonderful opportunity for the students.
It's something that you mentioned that I wanted to hone in on that I think is so true is there's a lot of resources that are being focused on K through 12, and you're right, that is critically important. I make financial contributions to organizations like that, and because those programs are preparing students for jobs 15 years from now. But there is a need to fill jobs today.
Yes.
And I think that's what, to your point, the community college population is a sweet spot, because if we can engage those students and prepare them, as you know, our model is to get students into the victory circle, right? A destination in 24 months or less. And that allows for us to take a student and allow them to be able to be ready to go to a four-year college, or to be ready to be hired, by a company who's trying to fill a skills gap, or to launch a business. And it's immediacy. And I think that's been one of the kind of fundamental differences that we've kind of focused on.
The various programs you have created, including the Fab Lab and internships, entrepreneurship, I think these are very, very important, because this is a segment of population we need to pay attention to. And the people who go to community colleges, they are really struggling in the sense that that they have to probably support their families. They themselves are not sure what are the pathways they could take, what are the opportunities out there. So you are showing them a way to achieve the American dream. And I think this is a segment of population which deserves to enjoy what the society has to offer.
You brought up entrepreneurialism. I want to ask you this. How important, in your view, when you think about our global economy and you think about America in terms of it continuing to be, how important is it to train students in entrepreneurial innovation, as opposed to, let's say, just a focus around academic theory and a focus on going into the workforce, which is important. But in your view, how important is entrepreneurial innovation?
We are living in a global society. We are one world. Because our distances are cut short by aviation and other things. So we have to, what happens here in the US affects the rest of the world, and what happens in the rest of the world affects us. So we have to be the leaders in innovation and entrepreneurial efforts. The reason is very simple. If we don't innovate, we will fall behind. We will not be as successful as we have been on the global stage. And to lead the world and to keep the US economy and the US leadership in technology, I think it's imperative that we cultivate the culture of both entrepreneurship and innovation. So even the big companies today, what we talk about, Apple and Facebook and Google, these started as small entrepreneurial operations. Now they're multi-billion-dollar, maybe trillion-dollar market cap and so on. But these things started as small operations. But these were started by entrepreneurs through innovation. I think it's very important to teach these skills to our young people, that not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, not everybody is going to be an innovator, but the people, we need to give them the skills to be entrepreneurs. And if they choose to go down that path, our society is well equipped to support these people, but they have to get there. So in order for them to get there, we have to show them the path. And I think the best 11 is laying the foundations for doing that. And I think Landon, I should also say that your leadership has been tremendously important, because your hard work and your vision and your passion, I think, is contributing to the success. And I'm certain this will continue and grow.
Well, I'm humbled by that. Thank you, Ravi. My last question for you, and I always like to end with thinking about a vision for the future, because that's what's inspiring. So what is your vision for engineering in the 21st century? When you look out the next decade, 2 decades, what's your vision? What does that look like? What does success look like when we look at the vision for the 21st century engineering?
So I think we are living in a very exciting times. This is, we are living in the golden age of engineering and technology. And the transformations which have taken place in the last decade or two in many areas of engineering is really mind-boggling in many ways. And the future, I think, will certainly hold some surprises, but also one can anticipate where the engineering is going. So one of the things is that we are going to be a connected world. By that I mean not only what they call the Internet of Things, that that we are all connected through internet and the devices and what we use and everything, our home appliances and whatever else, but also we are connected as one. The world is connected by the transportation.
Right.
The mobility is not an issue anymore, because we could be anywhere in the world in less than a day. Everything is becoming global. So with that, obviously there are issues which we face. Most of the world is dark in the sense that they don't have power, reliable power. So I think that's one of the challenges. So the challenges are in the areas of energy and environment, health and global medicine. So these are a couple of areas which need the thing, and obviously we always need to be aware of the defense and security. Not only of the United States, but of all civilized nations. And so this is something which we have to be vigilant. So the technologies, the engineering, I think, will continue to contribute to all these areas. That people are living longer, but do we understand our mind? Whether the body, we are able to somehow maintain the physical health. How about we are able to still maintain our thinking, and whether we understand the brain? I think that's a big challenge. I think this is going to be a century of innovation, discovery, and for better life. I'm very optimistic about the role of engineering in the coming decades, and certainly there are great many opportunities in many of the areas, some of the areas which I mentioned. But there are many others which we cannot foresee, and those are the things. Many of the innovations will come from things which we don't even imagine today, and that's where these young people who come through Base 11 and these community college students, that we have to show them a way that they can contribute to this innovation.
We were talking at lunch about the fact that there's such a great opportunity for young people now, and oftentimes I get jealous. I'm like, can I go back and enroll and become a Base 11 student? If I was 19 years old again. So when you just talked about the vision of what it's going to look like in the 21st century, then let's close out by saying, if you were to give advice to an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, student who is stepping into the opportunity to be a part of what is about to occur in the next, decade, if you will, what advice would you give to them to position themselves to be a part of this explosive innovation that's about to occur?
I think at the basis of all innovation is mathematics. So you have to understand mathematics. You have to understand science. You need to understand physics, chemistry, biology. So this is at the core of innovation. Here I'm talking about not innovation in business, but innovation in science and technology. So for that, be passionate about math. Be passionate about sciences. Once you have that passion, then you can take that into transform that to innovation in technology. So at the base of everything is math and science. I think be passionate about that. And then things will come to you, and then you can explore things on your own, and that is what will lead to better life. And the great thing about engineering, why I am excited about engineering and technology, this helps to the betterment of people's lives, everywhere in the world. The innovation which takes place in the US helps the people globally, either through water, clean energy, better health. All these things come through engineering innovations. And science itself is advanced by technological breakthroughs, because we can build better instruments. They can observe things better. They can investigate phenomena which they were not able to look at before. And this is enabled by technology. So the confluence of all these things, the physical and also the communications and the information sciences, is helping really engineering go to the next level. And I think that's why the future looks very bright, and the young people should be passionate about math and science.
Yes. Ravi, thank you so much. This has been great, spending time together.
Thank you, Nanda.